guys, it's Hazel here at The Right Copy Girl, and this week we're going to be talking about the Golden Trident. Ooh. Very exciting. So the Golden Trident is part of my Divine Blogging Design, which is my signature blogging method. Hello, darling. Don't mind me, there's a dog. Now, those of you familiar with mythology may have seen tridents at some point. Certainly, if you know anything about Poseidon, who is the sea god, you will have seen him running around touting his trident. And even if you're unfamiliar with mythology, I'm sure you will have almost certainly watched The Little Mermaid. And Ariel, her father is essentially Poseidon, and you will notice he runs around with a golden trident. It's a big staff with a three-pointed fork on the end of it. So, in the Divine Blogging Design, there are three absolutely vital things that you really have to do. They are the PowerPoints of the whole system, the thing that's going to make your content shine, that's going to give you amazing content that your readers are going to love, that's going to really help you build your tribe, that's basically just the shiz. And as it happens, there are three prongs on a trident. So I was like, I'll call it the Golden Trident. Three things that you absolutely have to do when you're blogging to make sure that you are always writing for your ideal reader, that you are always absolutely nailing your content. And number one, I just mentioned it a second ago, is your ideal reader. Now this really is the core of the Divine Blogging Design. It's what it's all about. You have to know who you are writing for. And a lot of people really fall down on this because they think, well, you know, I'm writing for business women, or I'm writing for mothers, or I'm writing for stay-at-home dads. It doesn't matter who your target audience is. They are going to be a lot more specific than you think they are, and they are going to like much more specific things than you think they will. But more than that, there's also a lot more to them than just the reason that they are coming to you, just the reason that they're reading your blog. Well, is that really what your readers want to know about? If you use me as the example, my job is copywriting. That's what I do for my clients. That's what they come to me for. They want a copywriter. But do they really want to read about copywriting? Do they really want to read about the process of copywriting? Do they really want to read about how you find jobs as a copywriter? Do they want to know the ins and outs of grammar? Do they want to know all the intricate things that I have to know and learn as a copywriter? Probably not, because if they did, they wouldn't be looking to hire a copywriter, they would be looking to be their own copywriter. And there is a very big difference between the two. And if you think about your work and what you do, if you actually stop and think about it, depending on what you do, you will likely find that the things that you actually do day in and day out in your job are not the things that your readers want to know about, because you're trying to attract people who will hire you to do that for them. So why would they want to know how to do it themselves if the goal is to attract people who want to do it, you to do it for them? If you write about what you do, you will end up attracting people who want to know how to do what you do. And that might be a good thing if you're looking to go into coaching. If you're not very careful, you end up attracting almost the right audience, but not quite. And the result of that is that you're putting out all of this great content, but because it's for the wrong audience, you're still not getting any clients. And we don't want that. So, fork one on the trident is knowing your ideal reader, really knowing them, knowing exactly how they tick, what they want to read about, and how often you should be giving them exactly what they want to read about. The second fork on the trident is what I call Q and T. Yes, I did say T, not A. It's not question and answer. No, it is quality and truth. Now, quality kind of is a given. It goes without saying that everything you produce needs to be really, really high quality. But have you stopped to consider that quality is not only about having well-written or well-recorded content, it's about the nature of the content you produce and how interesting it is on a week-in, week-out basis. Think of it this way: how many blogs do you follow by people who are money experts or PR experts? Week in, week out, they tell you about whatever it is that they do. One example I can think of is absolutely brilliant PR coach that I follow. Fabulous, fabulous woman. Her content is absolutely brilliant, but week in, week out, for about a year, every single post she wrote was the same. And after a few weeks, I just stopped reading them because she'd said it all already. She wasn't giving me anything new, she wasn't giving me anything different, she was still giving me exactly what I wanted as a potential customer, but because she was saying the same thing over and over again in a slightly different way, I just completely lost interest. And you don't want that. So you need to not only know what your clients want and what they want to read and why they're coming to you specifically, but you also would need to know what else they want to know about, which is related to what you do, but that can add in a little bit of variety. And that's where the divine blogging design comes in, because the archetypes, they help you to see which areas you should be writing about and how often to write about them. So in order to have really high quality content, you also need to have versatile content. You need to have a variety of content. You need to switch it up every now and again. You can't just have content that repeatedly tells people week in, week out, this is how you blog, this is how you blog, this is how you blog, this is how you blog. Because even if you really love blogging, like even if you just live and die for knowledge about blogging, there comes a point when it's like, yeah, you've said all this already, give me something new, give me something different, for the love of God, switch it up a bit, would you? And this is exactly why you'll find on my own blog that I don't talk about blogging every week. Shocking, I know, but I don't. I don't even talk about writing every week. I talk about things like entrepreneurship. I talk about how to cope with the various stresses and strains of being an entrepreneur. I talk about various other things to do with marketing. I talk about loads of different stuff, all of it related to what I do and related to what my readers are doing, but not exactly the same every week, because you're just going to lose people. Which brings me to the T. Truth. Always be true to you. Be true to yourself in everything you write. There is no point trying to put on a persona or a front or a mask when you write and when you record things, because people will just see right through it. You will have one of two reactions to that kind of content. Either people won't connect with you at all. They won't be able to kind of relate to you. They won't really care about what you're saying. And they might find it a little bit interesting, but it'll be quite flat. It's the equivalent of somebody talking to you in a monotone. If you ever had a lecturer at uni or college who had a really, really droning voice, and they just kept talking in the same tone of voice for an hour solid and expected you to somehow pay attention, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Even if you don't mean to, even if you try and put on a really interesting kind of character, if you will, because it's not really who you are, because it's all a show, unless you're a really, really good actor, it's just not going to work. And at the end of the day, is it really worth all that effort? Going to all that effort to pretend to be somebody that you're not, on the off chance that people will relate to that more than they will to you? No, it's not. So when you're creating your content, be yourself. I wear my own clothes. I don't put on business clothes and try and look posh and corporate, because it's just not me. I write as I would speak. So I don't use overly formal turns of phrases and expressions, and I don't use really kind of academic language. I can write in academic language. I have an academic background. If I need to do it, I can do it. But for blogging, that's not really where I want to be. I don't want to be in that academic, formal, overly precise zone, because that's not how I speak, and it's not how I would, you know, talk to you like I'm talking now. It just doesn't work. This is especially important if your branding is anything like my branding and you use yourself as your brand. So if you have a personal brand, if your photograph is all over your brand, if you, you know, if you are really trying to kind of infuse a sense of your personal ethos and passions and you know, creativity and anything like that, if that's part of your branding, it is so, so important that you are yourself when you write. It's just, if you try to be somebody else, it just won't work. And finally, branch number 3 on our magical shiny golden trident is hustle. I'm going to say that again. Hustle. Here's a bit of a truth bomb for you. Your content doesn't promote itself. The fact that you have published it isn't enough to get it seen because nobody knows that it's there. Social media is a brilliant way around this. It was literally made for content. So you need to be promoting your content on social media, and I mean a lot. Don't send one tweet and think that's it. That's not it. Okay? That's not it. One tweet has a shelf life of about 15 minutes. 15 minutes after you have posted that tweet, nobody is ever going to see it again, okay? So you need to be tweeting about this post not once, but several times on the day that you post it. You know, I'm talking sort of at least 5 times, 10 if you can, maybe even more, on the day that you post, and then in subsequent days that follow, make sure you tweet about it again. You don't just have to do it on the day you post it. For the whole of that week, or that month, depending on how often you blog, keep tweeting. It's not enough that your followers see your tweets. The point here is to get more followers and expand your audience. So you need to be hashtagging the living hell out of those tweets with relevant keywords to make sure that people who don't know you yet find you through your content. If you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Google+, whatever you're on, make sure you are posting your content. Not just when you post it, but afterwards as well. For Facebook, don't go nuts. Post it the day you publish it, post it again a couple of days later, maybe a week after. Have some kind of schedule set up so that you know exactly how often you promote each blog post on each social media platform, and if you can, automate it. That's really, really important. It's going to save you a shed load of time. Get something like CoSchedule, which lets you publish your blog posts to all your social media sites at the same time. Set up a template that you use for each of your posts that automatically populates the social media messages that you send out. I'm telling you, it's life-saving. If you've not watched it already, check out my masterclass in how and why you should be using CoSchedule, and that will explain it more. But social media aside, what can you be doing to really, really hustle? And I mean it now, you have to hustle. Unless you already have a huge following on at least one of your social media platforms, social media marketing alone is not going to be enough. So, a few other options to consider. Number 1, advertising. And if you are already posting on social media, the easiest way to do this is to use social media advertising and pay-per-click advertising. You also need to be guest posting. Guest posting. This is where you write wonderful content, give it to somebody else and let them post it on their sites and promote it on their social media and put it in front of their audiences. And the final thing I want to mention is PR. PR is so important. Guest posting is a part of PR, but it kind of takes it to the next level and sees you doing things like posting for the Huffington Post, Mind Body Green, Tiny Buddha, all these other sites that take guest bloggers and who will have an audience that might well be interested in what you're saying, but more importantly have very recognisable names that your audience will know and pay attention to. For example, when people hear that I'm a Huffington Post blogger, They know what the Huffington Post is. They recognise that as a major news distributor, and it's, you know, it's a bit of a feather in my cap. Guess what? The more feathers you put in your cap, the better and bigger your cap becomes. It's a bit like pirates. The bigger the hat, the better. I like pirates. I actually have a pirate hat. I should have worn that. So my darlings, that is the Golden Trident. Number 1, know your ideal reader. Number 2, Q and T, quality and truth. Be true to you. And number 3 is hustle. Hustle your little arse off, okay? That's all from me for today, but I will be back next week with more fabulous content. If you like the video, do please like and share and scream about it and tell everybody you know how much you love it and how awesome I am. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I'll see you next week. Bye! Hi. I'm filming again. Yes, I know. It's so mean. I'm not playing with Boo. I've run out of ideas for examples. Fuck. Know your ideal reader. No, that's just shit. Oh, squirrel.